with the murdered Indigenous women, you know, this process, this camp, everything that they're doing is just so important. And it's so good what they're doing, coming together and talking about it. And yeah, I think that's maybe the only justice many of us will get, because I have a sister that I lost, and I'm never going to know what happened to her, who did it. No. Women that are reporting sexual assault, oftentimes their lives fall apart after they report. Well, they go on the stand, right? And they're interrogated. They're oftentimes their previous history, what has nothing to do with the event, comes into play. The community starts to judge them. There's all negative social responses they received, right? So if you receive a lot of negative social response, more inclined, your life is going to fall apart, right? And so a lot of women now in our community say, I ain't going there again. So they've been abused again, but they won't go to the court system. They won't report it.
This is it's a hanging rack. It's where you try to smoke your dry meat and stuff like that. It brings me back to the culture, and that's what heals me, getting back to the culture. And you can see dry meat hanging up there. I got some dry meat out there that I just made today. Now I got to build one of these.
Lots of ways to think about it, which helps take away the pain and take away the sadness. And I think that's what the idea of grief work and grief therapy is all about, to help people think of different ways of looking at death, so they don't have to be so burdened by it, so they can carry on with their lives feeling some level of comfort.
It is very important, yeah, especially to the families, you know, knowing that there's somebody there that's going to actually listen and be supported, you know. So I guess they draw strength from me for it, you know, when they're trying to talk about their horror stories or whatever, you know. And so they know I'm there to support them too, eh? So it's rewarding both ways.
I packed around a lot of anger because of that. A lot of shame too, because I participated in treating the women that I was with in a bad way. Didn't give them the respect that my mom told me I should have. Again, I'm really, really grateful to sit among our mothers, our sisters, and our grandmothers. It's been a long time. I thought this would never happen. Especially when I was a cop and I asked some questions. You know, there are good people that wear the uniform. They did ask. They did look for records. They couldn't find anything. But it was our grandmothers, our sisters, and our moms got together and they said to us that we need to find our missing. And it's because of you we're sitting here. I really didn't believe in it, that you guys could pull this off. Because how much power our moms carry and our sisters, especially the hardships they go through when I was growing up. We were a family. It was our women that kept us together.
I love coming to these gatherings because my mom, she's amongst those of the missing and murdered Indigenous women. She was 22 when she was taken from us in our hometown, Merritt. And I grew up full of jealousy, anger, sadness, wondering how come my mom wasn't around, and I didn't fully understand what happened to her, probably until I moved up here, because my dad hid that from me. He hid the truth and what happened, and so I was really happy when these gatherings started forming, because I knew that I wouldn't be alone, that there would be other families that would have the same feelings as me. And so it's been really helpful. I've learned through all these gatherings that I've learned how to let go of the anger and the jealousy, because I used to be jealous of like all the other kids that would have their moms and get to do things with their moms that I never got to do. Anyways, I've learned a lot through all these gatherings. I'm happy to be here on the land. I woke up to a nice peaceful morning, and so I can't wait for the next couple days. And I told myself I would be the mother that I never had for my little one.
So the keynote speakers we had over the last 3 days, have given us a message to continue how to deal with grief, how to deal with trauma. Some of the stuff that a lot of us carry and are unable to unload.
Put piece and all my past together and started figuring out why. I had so much anger and so much revenge. I wanted everybody to hurt like I did, no matter who they were. I wanted for them to feel my pain too. So I would lash out at anybody, no matter who it was. And then I find out it was misguided anger, and everybody was getting it, the way I felt. And I didn't understand why I was like that, but I started taking psychological, and I did it for 3 years. And I was going like twice a week the first week, and I kept talking, and the guy I went to see, he was really, really good. And, a lot of old wounds do still haunt me, but I do a lot of praying, and I trust in my higher power. And as soon as I open my eyes, I thank him just for opening my eyes, like to have my eyes open and, just to see this day.
I think we staggered, not only in alcohol, but we staggered with the essentials leaving us. The very meaning of life itself was kind of taken from us. And I think in that respect, we miss a lot over the years. And we're always crying inwardly, we're trying not to show that, we're in tears at all the time, but I think individually we really, really, really suffered. Take things back, retrieve the spirits that, that we were separated from as youth. When we went into school, I think that was missing. And this is the time, to retrieve the essentials of life that makes you a whole person again.
This workshop is really important. It talks about our mothers, our sisters, our aunties, our little girls that got murdered and never been answered. We never got any kind of healing from it. We carry all those sorrows, and we still do, because we always wanted to know what happened. But if we keep gathering like this, somebody's going to listen. Somebody's going to say, okay, we're hurt enough. Let's do something about it. And this is a really good start.
I couldn't cry. My heart was just a lump. I just never could open it up. But there was one movie I could go rent, and I could watch it until I got to the part where you're supposed to cry, and I could finally squeeze a few tears out. Now I cry all the time. But it's so important to learn to cry and to learn to laugh, to be in the moment, to have joy, to be able to share yourself. It's so good. And that's your beginning. That's the, I can cry, I can laugh, I can have joy, I can dance, I can sing, I can hold my girlfriend's hand and accept her comfort. I think for years I couldn't accept comfort. And I still get startled when someone puts their hand on my back,
So my name's Terry Zabo, and I'm a part of this murdered missing women and girls group because my grandma, May Stewart, was murdered in Upper Liard in 1972, June 7th. So my mom has always said, or always talked about my grandma, like what happened to her. And I remember that happened when I was 8 years old. I remember the ambulance taking grandma and not really knowing what happened, but something happened. So I never went to residential school. I was lucky because my dad was Caucasian, and my mom is Casca from here. So being mixed in the community is really, really difficult because a lot of people, and maybe it's just in my mind, associate me with my dad because my dad's different. But I don't look at my parents like that. When we were kids, my parents never talked about color. They were just my parents, and you know, love has no color and no culture. We all feel the same way.
You know, they say, like somebody mentioned, like I'm surprised you girls pulled this off, but it's not only us girls, it's like the men that stand behind us. You know, we have men at home who support us so we can do this kind of work. You know, we have the men going out hunting and being here holding us up so that we're able to do this. So for me, I'm a residential school survivor, 11 years. You know, my brother and I, when we were young, we ended up in the foster care system. And there's a lot of, you know, things that are the reasons that I'm driven today to help our people. I believe I'm a helper. But I can only do so much. You know, for these kind of camps, to me, they're the tools. We can only give you the tools to help you. We can't heal you. I'm not a healer. I can only, you know, lift out my hand and say, you know, here's what you need to do to help yourself. So I have a lot of faith, and I think I'm going to continue to be driven because I think we need to go back in order to heal. We need to go back to our culture and our ceremonies to help us, to make us be stronger.
It was taking the last 2 months very hard for me, August and September. Because my daughter got murdered when she was 17 years old. And her birthday was August 19. She could have been 44 years old. And September 12th, in 1990, what, 27 years she was gone. And it just seemed like yesterday.
I'm just really enjoying being out here. I mean, I grew up doing these things with community on the land, and it's very comfortable. It's probably the most comfortable place that I could be ever in life, is being on the land.
One of the greatest things about this healing camp is the families are not waiting for the politicians. They're not waiting for the end of the inquiry. They're getting out there. They're doing it. It's wonderful, and it's good to see them take that giant step to healing and it's quite serious, and politicians should pay attention to this. So should the government of Canada, as well as the commissioners from the inquiry.
Any of you guys that have kids, but do they ever come home and you say, you know, how was school? And you might get a one-word response like, okay, fine, good. Yeah, sometimes, right? So the way kids' brains develop is that sometimes they might not have the ability to link in how they're feeling in their body. Maybe they're feeling a little tense, maybe they're a little worried or on edge, but then being able to express that might not be through words. So being able to do some art therapy with them is the key to maybe getting an idea of how they might be feeling about things, because they can't express it verbally, but my goodness, kids know what's going on, right? So what I would then say once they've done their hand is, I want you to name the 5 people that you feel safe with. And the reason that's important is because as parents, as elders in a community, as people who are looking after nieces, nephews, you know, whoever's in your care, you might think you know who that is. You might say, well, I'm obviously safe for them and uncle is safe for them. But if that's not the case for your youngster, then how you work with them and talk with them might be a bit of a barrier, because you're making sort of, oh, like we're guessing.
My mom was Nora Oli. She was murdered when she was 25, and I was about 3. The guy that murdered her, he got away with murdering her. There was lots of racism then, and he was non-native. Yeah, I ended up getting abused for 10 years. And then I took off and I left home, and then I seen a different kind of life. And I didn't know that life could be that way, like a good side. And I went to stay with another family. I asked if I could go live with them. I was 14. And I remember thinking, one day when I become a mom, I want to have a home like that. It was clean, and there was nobody drunk there. There was no like smoking, and it was just like all focused on their child, and it was safe. And I knew that I want my family to have a safe family one day.
I guess Mama was a really special person. Wow. And if I had any wish today, I would like to hear her voice again. That would mean a lot to me. So the reason I testified before the inquiry was to talk about my mama and her death at the hands of my father. I'm hoping it won't be too difficult to find her, because I think it would help me, my family, and my people to bring back her bones and bury them by Grandma and Grandpa, by our family. I think that would be a good thing. Not that I think that she needs that. I think we need it. Right. Yeah. The thing we need to do is stop listening to you out there. Not you, but those out there that say, you know, sick Indians or whatever they say. And listen to ourselves. We got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff on the ball. And we know how to live on this land. We know how to make something out of this land. We know how to feed ourselves off this land. And as long as we can keep our land, which is a big struggle on some level, because someone wants to take this land, it's like not for sale, then I think we'd be okay. I think we'd be okay. I think it's not going to be easy, but I think we can do it.
Anna tega sagara de ganulim Nogi no Anogi no sagara de kwaga gulim Nana 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 sagara de pikala guda Sagara kunga gulim Nana 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 Sagara ki kakala guda